Something significant just shifted this week for the roughly 7.5 million Americans who depend on supplemental security income every single month. Brand new inflation data released on February 13th has caused leading analysts to revise their projections for next year's Social Security raise. And if those projections hold, SSI recipients could be crossing a threshold that seniors on this program have never crossed before in its entire history. For the first time ever, monthly SSI checks could break through the $1,000 mark. Here is exactly what that means and what is standing in the way. Before we go any further, please tap the like button right below this video. It helps this update reach other seniors on SSI who are waiting on the exact same information you are right now. This update is specifically for SSI recipients, seniors on fixed incomes, and anyone who has been told their entire life that $1,000 a month is just out of reach on this program. If that number matters to you, do not move. But first, let me tell you about someone. 4 days ago, I received a message from a 67-year-old woman named Gloria from Memphis, Tennessee. Gloria spent the better part of her adult life working in home health care, taking care of elderly patients in their homes, helping them bathe, eat, manage their medications, and get through their days with some dignity. She did that work for 26 years. She told me she loved it. She told me she never once did it for the money, because anyone who has worked in home health care knows the money was never the point. When Gloria had to stop working due to her own health problems, she applied for SSI. She was approved, and she has been receiving $994 a month ever since. $994. She told me she has a notepad on her kitchen counter that never moves. On it, she has written out every single monthly expense, her rent, her electric bill, her medications, her phone so she can call her daughter. She told me that notepad never adds up the way she needs it to. There is always something that does not fit. Always something she has to decide to skip or delay or go without. Gloria heard that SSI checks might finally cross $1,000 for the first time ever next year. She sent me a message and said, $6 does not sound like much to most people, but to me, crossing that line would mean something. It would mean they finally see us. It would mean this program finally acknowledged that $994 is not enough to live on. Gloria is right, and she deserves to know exactly where this stands right now. If you are watching this and you are on SSI, and you know exactly what Gloria is talking about, that notepad on the counter, that math that never quite works out, I want to hear from you right now. Drop a comment below and tell me what state you are in and what that extra money each month would actually mean for your life. That helps me understand what matters most to this community. Go ahead and comment below. I read every single one. All right, here is exactly what happened this week and what the new numbers mean for your SSI check. On February 13th, the Bureau of Labor Statistics released the January 2026 inflation data. That report contains the CPI-W, the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers. That is the specific inflation measure the Social Security Administration uses every year to calculate your cost of living adjustment. It is not the general inflation number you hear about on the news. It is this specific one. And when it moves, your projected raise moves with it. Here's what the January data showed. The CPI-W came in at 2.4% on a year-over-year basis. And based on that reading, the Senior Citizens League, the most widely followed nonpartisan senior advocacy group in the country, updated their 2027 COLA projection this week to 2.8%. That is the same raise SSI recipients received this year, revised upward from their January estimate of 2.5%. So, according to TSCL, the raise is not shrinking right now, it is holding steady. Now here is why that matters so much, specifically for SSI recipients, and why Gloria's message stopped me cold. The current maximum federal SSI benefit in 2026 is $994 per month for an individual. Apply a 2.8% raise to that, and your maximum benefit goes up by $27.83. That pushes the monthly SSI check to $1,021.83, over $1,000 a month. For the first time in the history of the Supplemental Security Income Program, which has existed since 1974, the maximum benefit would cross that $1,000 threshold. That is not a small thing. That is a milestone that 7.5 million Americans have been waiting decades for. For married couples receiving SSI, the current maximum is $1,491 per month. A 2.8% raise adds about $41 to that, bringing the couple's maximum to approximately $1,532 per month. Now I need to be straight with you about two things, because Gloria asked for honesty, and that is what this channel delivers. First, these are projections. The official 2027 COLA will not be announced until October 2026. What determines that final number is the inflation data from July, August, and September of this year. Those 3 months, and only those 3 months. Everything happening right now is an early read on the direction we are heading. The number can shift higher. It could shift lower. Independent analyst Mary Johnson, who tracks this data very closely, is warning it could drop all the way to 1.2% if inflation continues cooling. At 1.2%, the SSI raise would be only about $12 a month. Not enough to cross any threshold. Not enough to matter in any real way to someone like Gloria. Second, even if the 2.8% projection holds and your check does cross $1,000 for the first time, the Senior Citizens League made something very core this week. Shannon Benton, their executive director, said directly that even at 2.8%, this raise will only exacerbate seniors' financial stress. Their own research shows that the average Social Security and SSI payment has lost approximately 20% of its buying power since 2010. 20%. The raise has never kept up with what life actually costs for someone on a fixed income. Here is the reason for that, and it matters for you to understand this. The CPI-W was designed to track spending patterns for urban wage earners and clerical workers. People who are still working, people who spend their money very differently than a 67-year-old woman in Memphis, paying rent, buying medications, and keeping the lights on. Seniors spend a much larger share of their income on healthcare, housing, and prescription drugs. And those 3 categories have risen far faster than the overall inflation number used to calculate your raise. That is why 57.6% of America's seniors, according to TSCL's own research, have skipped or delayed at least one healthcare product or service in the last 12 months just to cut costs. The math is not working for millions of people, and a $27 raise does not fix that math. What would fix it is a bill called the Consumer Price Index for Elderly Consumers Act, which would switch the COLA calculation to the CPI-E, a measure specifically designed to track senior spending. Research shows that if the CPI-E had been used for the 2024 COLA, it would have been 4% instead of 3.2%. That difference compounded over years is real money. That bill has been introduced in Congress but has not passed. It is worth knowing about. In the meantime, here's what you can do right now to make sure you are protected. Log into your My Social Security account at ssa.gov and verify your payment details and your direct deposit information are completely current. SSI payments go out as direct deposits only. If your banking information is outdated, your payment can be delayed or held up entirely while the issue gets resolved. That is the last thing anyone managing $994 a month needs to deal with. 5 minutes today to check that information could save you weeks of waiting. If you are not yet subscribed to U.S. Pension Insight, please hit that button right now. It is completely free, and it makes sure you never miss an update that affects your benefits. Here is where everything stands right now. The current maximum SSI benefit is $994 per month. The Senior Citizens League this week revised their 2027 COLA projection upward to 2.8%, based on fresh January inflation data. If that holds, SSI recipients would see their maximum check cross $1,000 for the very first time in the program's history. Independent analyst Mary Johnson warns it could come in as low as 1.2%. The official number will not be known until October. And even at 2.8%, senior advocates are calling it insufficient, given what life actually costs. Gloria sent me one more message. She said she was going to log into her SSA account and check her information like I suggested. She said she had not done that in 2 years. That right there is exactly why we are here. Stay subscribed. The moment the next data point shifts these projections, I will bring it straight to you.